Soldiers tested non-lethal weapons to see if they can be used to help save lives downrange. Andruss went out to McKenna MOUT site and explains.
This is a restricted area. Deadly force is authorized in this area. Stop the vehicle now. You may be shot if you enter this area illegally. Send it!
It's not so much about killing the bad guys, but it's more about protecting the civilians.
The Joint Non-Lethal Weapons Directorate came to Fort Benning recently to test the employment of non-lethal weapons and find out if their use can help reduce civilian casualties downrange.
This is an assessment program, the first iteration that we're doing to look at the usefulness, utility, and benefit of non-lethal weapons in counterinsurgency operations. This first one we're doing here, we're using one scenario, this vehicle checkpoint and a squad of soldiers. We're going to see what happens when they're stopping cars without the use of non-lethal weapons, and then we're going to add in some non-lethal weapons to see how that assists in their ability to stop them.
The experiment is part of an ongoing effort by the United States military to do everything possible to protect civilians and our troops while operating within the fog of war.
The whole point is to try to better meet the commander's intent, which is reducing civilian casualties, reduce the destruction of civilian property, and at the same time it helps them accomplish their mission.
Our other mission is also to win the hearts and minds of, the nation that we're in right now. And if we keep killing civilians, it's a step backwards.
The objective is to get our troops to employ a variety of tools and non-lethal weapons that are already in their arsenal, like flashbangs, lasers, and loudspeakers, to better warn and clearly communicate to drivers that they're approaching a military checkpoint and they must stop.
The soldier doesn't have a lot of time with his current equipment to determine whether that's an innocent person, maybe it's a bad guy. With the aid of these non-lethals, we're hoping that we can give them the ability to slow that process down, to have a greater ability to make decisions, determine who's bad and who's innocent.
If someone is not trying to do something bad, they're going to stop, hands down. Something explodes in front of me and it doesn't kill me, I'm stopping. And if a soldier has that capability, that provides soldier and the leadership with an ability to better positively identify a threat.
Employing non-lethals can not only help save lives, but it will also support the use of lethal force should it become necessary.
We're asking our soldiers, our troops, to exercise courageous restraint. In a counterinsurgency fight, there's a lot of uncertainty, and our troops out there on the front line are faced with it every day. When you're at a checkpoint, a car's coming. You don't know whether that car is a person trying to get home that night for dinner, or maybe it has a vehicle-borne IED in it. If we can do something to help give them the tools to clear up some of that uncertainty, that's really the bottom line.
The driving is pretty crazy. They don't know how to drive like we do, so sometimes it's hard to determine whether they're driving erratically because that's just how they drive, or they have some intent to hurt you.
You give them as many chances as possible to let off. If they just don't want to listen to you, then it was their intent, and we have to do what we have to do. But we gave them as many chances as possible to, save their own lives as well as save ours.
The United States goes out of its way to try and prevent civilian casualties and collateral damage within the fog of war, and this is just another example of what makes the American military ethos and our troops the best in the world.
In the end, it's not taking away from your ability to conduct your mission, it's enhancing it, and that's what we're trying to prove with our data here.
This is a restricted area. Deadly force is authorized in this area. Stop the vehicle now. You may be shot if you enter.
Andruss, Fort Benning TV.